Alright, hey guys, I know we haven't posted in a little bit. I've been working on a saltwater tank, but this tank, the pet store hasn't had CO2 in over 2 weeks, and they refuse to restock it even though they still have the part for it, and I've got this disgusting green, or not green, it's black, it's straight black algae that just grows in my tank. It's a low oxygen algae. You can't even see the rock over here that my cory cats like to hang out around, let alone the tree in the background of driftwood that I have. And like, you can't, like, I know the snails are a problem, but honestly, my plecos have been eating them, so I haven't really had a huge issue with them. But you can barely see my fish through this algae. Like, I cleaned this tank. I just recently went through and pruned all my plants. Like, see, look, there's a little cory cat. You can't even see him through the black sludge, though. This has been the bane of my existence for a while, and the good pet store doesn't sell any CO2, and then the bad pet store never wants to replenish it, so like they get 2 CO2 bottles for like the entire county for like 2 weeks, so I'm deciding to build my own. So I did a few Google searches and I came up with a kind of good idea of what I wanted to do. Rather simple recipe. All you need is sugar, a little bottle used for pop, a check valve to make sure that the air only goes one way, some air tubing, some yeast. I use Fleischmann's, doesn't really matter, and then some baking soda. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill the pop bottle up about halfway with very warm water. The warm water doesn't matter so much as it does for the yeast as it does for the sugar, so I don't have a funnel, so I just used a helper and coiled up some paper. This is about a cup of sugar, give or take. From there you're just going to shake it up, and then since we only really needed the warm water to dissolve the sugar, we're going to fill it up a little bit more with some cold water. You want to get it about 1 inch from the top. After that, you're just going to shake it up a little bit more, make sure you don't have any solid clumps of sugar or other particles going around. Then we have to drill a hole in the top. So you're going to want to make sure the hole is a little bit smaller than the tubing that you chose, just to help make an airtight gap. I used an actual drill bit for this. You can cut it out with scissors, but if you cut out the hole with scissors, make sure you get some silicone, just really airtight that all around. You can drill straight into the bottle. That's what I ended up doing. It may not be the safest thing, but I mean, it works. If any of the plastic does end up getting into the bottle, that doesn't really cause any major issue. It's easier to hold the cap just on the bottle when the bottle has water in it. From there, you're gonna have to slit the bottom of the tubing you're going to use. Just cut off a little triangular piece on there. You can kind of see what I decided to do there. The camera couldn't get a real good angle, but that just makes it easier to slide into the cap. Once you get it peeking through, you can just pull it through, and now you have your tubing in a hole that's a little bit smaller than what it should be for it. And then you're going to have to plumb the check valve in. So if you just cut off a portion few inches up, I did about 6 inches. It's going to be written on the valve, or there will be an arrow directing where the flow has to go. So if it's written in is towards the bottle cap, out's the other way, and then the arrow is going to be pointing away from the bottle cap if you get one of those. You're going to want to try to squeeze the tubing on as far as you can, just to make sure that it stays airtight, get a really good seal around there. It is a little bit difficult, but if you can get it up to the very top, I mean, that's ideal. It's not necessarily 100% possible, but ideal. So now we just have to finish mixing up our solution. So first you're going to add just a pinch of baking soda. It's going to act as the catalyst for the reaction. And then I already had an open thing of yeast, but about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of yeast. And then you're just going to twist the cap on again. I shook it up a little bit, but that's not necessarily necessary. You can kind of see that the yeast has already kind of taken effect there. What essentially it's doing is it's eating the sugar, and that's what's producing the CO2. You can kind of see up at the top, and I'm going to zoom in here in a second, you can see some CO2 bubbles already forming at the top. So make sure the tubing isn't all the way down in the water, because you don't want to suck any of that up. But then you just put it in the tank and you'll be ready to go. A lot of people have an air diffuser. I don't have an air diffuser. I just have like a bubble glove. It's like a bottle that fills up with the CO2 and then it'll glub out and then it'll fill up again. And yeah. You are going to want to make sure you have your air bubbler going at night though, just to keep the pH levels in balance. Other than that though, I mean, it's really good to go. Get it positioned how you want it. Hopefully no more black sludge algae.